Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Respect is the foundation of every real relationship. Love might bring two people together, but it's respect that keeps them there. And if you want a man to respect you 100 times more, there's one golden rule you cannot overlook. You've got to first respect yourself. Because if you don't, he never will. Respect is one of those things you cannot demand from a man and expect to actually receive it in its purest form. You can say all day long that you deserve it. You can tell a man to treat you a certain way. But the truth is, if it's not earned, it won't last. Real respect has to be built through consistency, character, and the way you carry yourself every single day. A man might listen to what you say, but what truly speaks to him is what you do, how you live, and how you present yourself. Words fade fast, but actions are unforgettable. That's where true respect is born. You have to understand something. Men pay close attention even when it seems like they don't. They might act distracted. They might seem like they're not listening, but they are always watching. They see the way you handle yourself. They see the way you react under pressure. They notice how you treat yourself. If you walk around demanding respect, but constantly compromise your own standards, he's going to see the gap between your words and your actions. And when there's a gap, respect slips through the cracks. Now, here's the key. When you stand firm in who you are, when you stay consistent with your values, you teach a man how to treat you without ever having to raise your voice. The way you carry yourself sets the tone. If you respect yourself, if you value your time, if you don't let anyone play games with your worth, then a man has no choice but to respect that. Because men don't respect what comes too easy, they respect what requires effort. When he has to show up as his best self to be around you, that's when he begins to respect you at a deeper level. Respect is not about control, it's about presence. Some women think the louder they demand, the more respect they'll get. But the reality is, a woman who calmly enforces her boundaries without begging earns 10 times more respect than one who constantly complains but never follows through. Men are wired to know the strength in silence, consistency in character, and calmness under fire. That quiet confidence is what makes a man stand taller around you. He respects not only your words, but the discipline you live by. Think about this. When you see a woman who truly respects herself, doesn't she instantly give off an aura of power? She doesn't need to tell people she's valuable. It's clear in how she dresses, how she speaks, how she carries herself. She doesn't need to demand attention. It naturally finds her because she radiates self-worth. And when a man comes across that type of energy, he has two choices. Rise up to meet it or walk away. Either way, respect has already been established because she showed him without saying a word that she is not to be taken lightly. Consistency is the secret ingredient. You can't show up one day full of standards and the next day accept treatment far below them. Men test consistency without even realizing it. If you say you don't tolerate certain behavior but let it slide because you don't want conflict, what you've really taught him is that your words don't mean much. But when your actions and your boundaries align, he knows exactly where you stand. And once a man knows that, he can't help but respect it. Respect is also earned through how you handle challenges. Life isn't smooth. Relationships aren't perfect. And there will be moments that test you. But when a man sees you navigate those storms without losing your dignity, when he watches you respond with strength rather than desperation, his respect for you multiplies. He understands that you're not defined by what happens to you, but by how you handle it. And nothing commands respect more than resilience wrapped in grace. At the end of the day, respect is not something you put on like makeup or clothes. It's not a performance you do to impress someone. It's who you are when nobody is looking. It's the decisions you make when compromise would be easier. It's the way you love yourself enough not to settle. That kind of integrity cannot be faked. And that is what makes a man look at you differently. That is what makes him say, not with words, but with actions, I respect her. Boundaries are one of the most powerful tools you have when it comes to making a man respect you. A lot of people think boundaries push someone away, but the truth is, boundaries create value. When you set standards for how you will and will not be treated, you don't just protect yourself, you teach people how to show up for you. A man will respect you 100 times more if he knows you are not afraid to draw the line and stand behind it. Because what you allow is what will continue. And once he sees you mean business, he knows he can't come at you any kind of way. See, here's the reality. People always test limits. It's human nature. Men especially want to see where the edges are. If he can get away with cutting corners, showing up halfway, or giving you less than you deserve, he will try it. Not because he's a bad man, but because he's human. But when you have clear boundaries, when you calmly but firmly say, this is acceptable, this is not, suddenly the game changes. He understands that in order to be close to you, he has to rise to a certain level. And the moment he realizes you will not settle for less, respect begins to grow. Boundaries are not walls, they're doors. A wall keeps everybody out, but a door lets the right person in while keeping the wrong energy away. When you set a boundary, you are not shutting a man out. You're giving him the chance to step up and meet the standard. The men who don't want to rise will fall away, but the ones who are serious about you will put in the effort. And that's where respect deepens, because he knows he's dealing with someone who knows her worth. Now, the mistake some people make is thinking boundaries are about talking louder or making threats. But boundaries are not about words, they're about actions. If you say, don't disrespect me, but then you stay after being disrespected, that's not a boundary, that's a wish. A real boundary means you back it up. You don't have to yell, you don't have to argue, you simply enforce it by your choices. A man may not like it at first, but trust me, he will respect it, because men respect consistency and they respect courage, especially when it comes to a woman knowing her value. The beauty of boundaries is they don't just tell a man how to treat you, they also tell him who you are. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, he learns that you are not desperate for attention, you're not begging for love, and you're not accepting crumbs. You're willing to walk away rather than be treated less than what you deserve. And that right there, your willingness to walk away, is what makes him step up. Men respect what they have to earn, and boundaries make love something worth working for. Boundaries also bring peace. Without them, you'll find yourself frustrated, resentful, and drained, constantly trying to manage situations that don't serve you. But when your boundaries are clear, you eliminate confusion. A man doesn't have to guess how far he can go because you've already shown him. That clarity builds respect because it shows maturity. A woman who knows how to protect her energy is a woman who will always be valued. And let's be honest, men admire the challenge. They don't respect someone who lets them do whatever, whenever. That might be fun for a little while, but it doesn't last. What lasts is when a man knows that being with you requires effort, consistency, and accountability. It makes him look at you differently. He sees that you don't need him to complete you. You've already got yourself together. What you need is someone who can walk beside you without pulling you down. That's the kind of woman who gets respect. And it's boundaries that create that dynamic. So don't ever think that having boundaries makes you difficult, cold, or unapproachable. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. And self-respect is the root of all respect. When you set them and stick to them, you don't just gain a man's respect, you elevate his entire view of you, because he knows he's not dealing with someone ordinary. He's dealing with someone extraordinary, and that's when respect multiplies. Confidence is one of the most magnetic qualities a person can have. And when a woman carries herself with confidence, a man cannot help but respect her on a deeper level. Respect is tied to how you see yourself, and confidence is the clearest signal that you respect who you are. A man may be drawn to beauty, he may be drawn to charm, but what makes him stop in his tracks, what makes him look at you differently, is when he realizes you walk in the room like you already belong there. Like you don't need anyone's approval to validate your worth. That kind of energy is impossible to ignore, and it commands respect 100 times over. Confidence isn't about being loud. It isn't about trying to prove something. It's about knowing yourself so well that you don't have to perform for anyone. A confident woman doesn't shrink to make someone else feel comfortable, and she doesn't try to take up space that isn't hers either. She simply stands in her own truth, and that truth speaks louder than any words could. When a man sees that, he knows he's dealing with someone rare, someone he can't just charm with sweet talk or distract with empty promises. He has to bring his best self forward because her confidence demands it. There is something magnetic about a woman who is secure in who she is. She doesn't ask for permission to be herself. She doesn't wait for a man to tell her she's enough. She already knows she is enough, and that assurance makes her shine differently. A man respects a woman who doesn't chase validation because it shows him she's not desperate for attention. She wants him, and nothing gets a man's respect faster than realizing you chose him not because you had to, but because you wanted to. That choice has power, and that power comes from confidence. Confidence also shows up in how you handle setbacks. Anybody can be confident when life is easy, but real confidence is proven when things get rough. A man is watching to see if you crumble under pressure or if you hold your head high even when it's not going your way. When he sees that you can walk through storms without losing your self-respect, his admiration for you skyrockets, because he knows life will not always be perfect, and he wants someone who can stand strong beside him. Confidence in the face of struggle is one of the most attractive and respectable traits a woman can have. You also have to understand that confidence teaches a man how to treat you. If you walk into a relationship doubting yourself, apologizing for existing, constantly second-guessing your worth, you give him permission to treat you like you're not valuable. But if you carry yourself with assurance, if you speak with certainty, if you know you are worthy of love, respect, and loyalty, he has no choice but to treat you that way. Confidence sets the tone. It says, this is who I am, and I will not accept anything less than what I deserve. That kind of energy makes a man step up because he realizes he cannot afford to play with you. The beauty of confidence is that it inspires. When a man is around a confident woman, he feels the urge to elevate himself. He knows he has to match that energy. He has to grow. He has to be better. Confidence doesn't just make him respect you, it makes him respect himself more too. And that's when a relationship becomes something powerful because they inspire each other to rise higher. Confidence is magnetic because it's authentic. You can't fake it, not for long. A man knows the difference between someone who is pretending to be strong and someone who truly believes in herself. Authentic confidence is quiet, steady, and undeniable. It doesn't scream for attention, it draws it naturally. And when you embody that, you never have to ask a man for respect. He gives it to you freely because he knows he's standing in the presence of someone remarkable. One of the quickest ways to lose respect in a relationship is by constantly chasing approval. A man may enjoy the flattery, he may like the attention, but deep down, he doesn't respect someone who needs his validation to feel complete. What really makes a man respect you is when your actions show that you know your worth without him having to say it every 5 minutes. When you live your life in a way that proves you are already confident, already valuable, already whole, then his respect multiplies because he realizes you don't need him to define you. You've already defined yourself. Approval seeking is like handing someone else the keys to your self-esteem. Every time you wait on a man to confirm your beauty, your intelligence, or your value, you're basically telling him that his opinion matters more than your own. And while he might enjoy that in the short term, he won't respect it in the long run. Respect grows when your actions say, I know who I am, and I don't need external confirmation to prove it. A man respects a woman who doesn't constantly look to him to measure her worth because it tells him she's not dependent on him to feel complete. Actions speak louder than words every single time. You can tell a man you're strong, but he really believes it when he sees you walk away from disrespect without hesitation. You can say you have standards, but he truly respects it when he watches you enforce those standards without compromise. You can claim you're independent, but he respects it when you actually live like it, when you make decisions for yourself, when you show that your happiness doesn't depend on his approval. That kind of strength commands respect because it's not just talk, it's lifestyle. Think about it like this. If a man knows that a compliment will completely control your mood, he realizes he has power over you. But if he sees that you appreciate the compliment while still staying grounded in who you are, he respects you more. Why? Because he knows your self-esteem isn't on sale. It's not something he can control. You receive his appreciation, but you don't rely on it. That balance is what makes him admire you because it shows maturity and self-assurance. Respect is also tied to consistency. If your actions line up with your words, a man knows he can trust you. But if you constantly bend, compromise, or shift your standards just to please him, he sees the inconsistency and loses respect. Approval seeking creates a cycle where you're always trying to perform for him, and he learns that you value pleasing him more than honoring yourself. On the other hand, when your actions show that you will not betray yourself for anyone's approval, he knows he has to treat you with seriousness. He respects people who stay true to themselves, and he respects a woman even more when she holds firm no matter who she's dealing with. A woman who doesn't chase approval is a woman who holds power. She doesn't beg to be chosen, she chooses. She doesn't wait for someone to clap for her before she celebrates herself. She claps first. She doesn't put her dreams on hold for fear of disapproval. She pursues them because she knows they are valid. A man watching this kind of woman will respect her because she is fearless in being herself. Her actions tell him that she's not playing small to make him feel big. She's not giving away her crown to make someone else comfortable. She stands tall, and that height commands respect. The truth is, approval fades, but actions endure. A man might tell you he respects you in words, but what matters is how he treats you. And the same goes for you. He hears what you say, but he respects what you do. If you act in alignment with self-respect, if you show through your behavior that you value yourself, he has no choice but to respect that. Actions will always overpower approval seeking because they reveal the real story of who you are. Respect grows in the moments when life gets hard, not when everything is smooth. Anybody can look strong and confident when the sun is shining and everything is falling into place. But what truly makes a man respect you is how you carry yourself when the storm hits. Grace under pressure is one of the most powerful traits a woman can have because it shows that your strength isn't just for show, it's built into who you are. When you can face challenges without losing your dignity, when you can walk through the fire without letting it consume your spirit, a man can't help but admire that. See, pressure reveals character. Stress has a way of pulling out what's really inside a person. If a man watches you crumble every time things get tough, or lose yourself trying to hold everything together, he may feel sympathy, but respect doesn't grow there. Respect grows when he sees that even in your low moments, you don't forget who you are. You might bend, but you don't break. You might hurt, but you don't give up. You handle yourself with a calm strength that says, I know who I am, and nothing is going to take that away from me. Grace under pressure doesn't mean you don't feel the weight. It doesn't mean you don't cry, struggle, or admit when things are hard. It means you don't let the pressure define you. You face it with resilience. You respond with wisdom. And you refuse to let bitterness or anger steal your spirit. And when a man sees that kind of strength, he gains a deeper respect because he knows life is going to bring storms, and he wants someone beside him who knows how to stand in the rain without losing herself. That grace makes you unforgettable. It makes him realize he can't play with you because you're not just strong when it's easy, you're strong when it matters most. And that kind of strength wrapped in calm, that balance of resilience and elegance is what multiplies respect. Authenticity is one of the rarest and most powerful qualities a woman can bring to a relationship. And it is also one of the things that makes a man respect you the most. When you are real, when you show up exactly as you are without pretending to be someone else, that honesty sets you apart. A man can admire beauty, he can be drawn to charm, but respect comes from knowing he's dealing with someone who doesn't play games, doesn't wear masks, and doesn't shift her identity just to please him. The truth is, people can only keep up an act for so long, pretending to be perfect, pretending to agree with everything, pretending to be someone you're not. It eventually cracks. And when it does, respect gets lost because the foundation wasn't built on truth. But when you are authentic from the beginning, a man knows exactly who he's dealing with. There's no guessing, no confusion, no performance. That honesty is refreshing and it commands respect because it shows courage. It takes courage to be yourself in a world that constantly pressures you to be something else. Authenticity also builds trust. A man respects a woman who says what she means and means what she says. If you're happy, he knows it. If you're not, he knows that too, because you're honest about it. You don't hide your feelings to keep the peace, and you don't fake emotions to manipulate. That kind of realness makes him respect you because he doesn't have to second guess your intentions. He knows you are genuine, and that's rare. The beauty of being authentic is that it frees you. You're not weighed down by the pressure of keeping up an image. You don't need to fight for approval because you're not performing for anybody. You're simply being yourself, and that in itself is magnetic. Men respect women who don't compromise their identity for attention. They respect women who are bold enough to say, "This is me, take it or leave it," because that kind of confidence in your true self is unforgettable. And when you live authentically, respect doesn't just come, it multiplies, because he knows he can't find that kind of honesty everywhere.